Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frank Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices, and we have allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. Now, if this is something that you can see yourself being a part of, supporting, we ask that you like, comment, and share this live feed. Now, as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voter, to know the truth. But remember, fam, we will not be silenced. If you're really about the cause and you really want to stand up to corruption and you want to hold our elected leaders accountable, make sure you subscribe to our social media platforms. You can subscribe to both Frankie Olivo page on Facebook, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube page titled Frankie Olivo TV. Remember, Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. religiously, rain or shine. So make sure you subscribe to our Frankie Olivo TV channel on YouTube to tune in. We will not be silenced. And remember, Brownsville, I am forever grateful to each and every one of you for your time and attention that you give me. So thank you so much for tuning in. How we doing, chat? How we doing? Happy Wednesday. It's been a very busy few days so far. Yesterday, we were at the special call board meeting. We put in a shift. We checked in at 12 and we didn't leave until 6, 7. But nonetheless, today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about what happened yesterday. Yesterday, the board met to nominate, appoint a candidate to fill in for the vacant spot of Erasmo Castro. The interesting thing about it is that we've been getting a lot of calls, a lot of messages in regards to our opinion. We have seen what individuals have posted, and we want to talk about this a little bit more in detail. Now, again, it's interesting. It's interesting to learn of the dynamics of the board moving forward. What I want each and every one of you to focus on is what's at stake. Will the district be better with this appointment? Is this something that is promising for the district, or is it something that we should, I guess, be weary of? And that is the purpose of today's show. So thank you for tuning in. We will talk about how we have a lot to say in regards to the appointment by the BISD trustees, the unanimous appointment of the BISD trustees. And that is how we will start today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in, Brownsville.
Hearing coverage now on Brownsville's new school board member. Naida Soto Grantland is a familiar face in the community. She is a retired educator. She was picked today during a special board meeting to fill a seat left vacant after the death of Erasmo Castro in February. Here's Channel 5's Stephanie Rosales.
The Brownsville ISD School Board has a new member. The school board unanimously appointed Nita Ruth Soto Grantland to the board.
It was very apparent on her qualifications and her involving teamwork, governance.
I'm very happy with tonight's decision, right? That we've named somebody. We've got 7-0 board now as far as, a number of the actions that are going to be taken.
The decision was made after a nearly 6-hour-long interview process. 11 applicants were interviewed during executive session.
There was a lot of questions that had to do with the quality of a board member and what their involvement is with the district and their role in the community.
Soto Grantland is a retired educator with over 30 years of experience with Brownsville ISD. She was a former assistant principal, and director of human resources. Jorge Jasso is a BISD parent and teacher.
It doesn't matter who it is, as long as they do right by the district.
The seat had been vacant for 5 months following the death of board member Erasmo Castro. Over the last several months, the board could not come to an agreement on holding an election for the position or an appointment that led to today's hours-long interview process of nearly a dozen candidates. Soto Granlund is expected to be sworn in soon.
Keep in mind that this is a temporary assignment, right? And so our folks, our community will have a chance down the road to go ahead and select somebody.
She will hold that position until the seat is up for election in November 2026. In Brownsville, Stephanie Rosales, Channel 5 News.
Before we begin, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start out by saying what I'm about to say and talk about might be viewed as being harsh, as being ugly. I want y'all to remember, I will never, ever, I already have production team in my ear. I will never, ever use this mic to weaponize. I will never, ever use this mic to bully, to harass. That is not my job. My job is to provide you information. People make fun of me and they say, hey, man, you're the conversation starter. Well, it's important for us to talk about these issues because it seems as if people are either too scared or they just don't want to touch on the matter. So what we talk about today is nothing personal. Nothing is ever personal for me. Everything that we talk about is based on merit. We only talk about the politicos, those that enter the environment, the sphere of politics. So keep that in mind because I anticipate individuals will not like what we have to say. But again, these are valid arguments that we bring to you. And for those that have been following Good Morning Brownsville for a while, understand that we mean no ill will. Nothing is ever targeting an individual. That is not the way we operate. And if you're new here and aren't familiar with the way we operate, everything is based on merit. Nothing is personal. It's just politics. It's business. So let's get started with today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday, I was fortunate enough to attend the BISD board meeting. What was interesting was it felt like a show. It felt like this was already planned. And look, I am very proud of my work before you. People have criticized, they have ridiculed us, they have said, you don't know what you're talking about. People don't listen to you. When I prepare to come before you, I make sure that I have all my information, that I'm ready to present. Because at the end of the day, what I'm doing is I'm painting a picture for you. And my role is never, ever to convince you, to sway you, to talk about an agenda, because that's not my role. My role is to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, present you the black and the white. Whatever you do with that information, that's up to you. I am very proud of what I do, and I stand behind my work. Good Morning Brownsville has been fortunate enough to receive the confidence, the support of individuals that really want to do good for the citizens of Brownsville. They are tired of rampant corruption that we have in our city, in our county, in our area. And they see someone like me who wants the same thing. They see someone who either is crazy, has a lot of, or someone that's passionate. So what do? They provide me with information and they say, go get them, kid. Go get them. We have been talking about this BISD placement nomination for quite some time now. Ever since the passing of Erasmo Castro back in mid-February, the clock started of 180 days in which the BISD board, needed a replacement by August. If no replacement was done, TEA was going to come in. And we came on before you day in and day out, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Subscribe if you haven't already to Frank Olivo TV. And we have told you about the candidates, about what has been happening behind closed doors. And that is the beauty of this program, because we let you, the voter, you, the 99, the 98%, know what's going on behind closed doors, these quid pro quos. People appreciate this program. Others don't. I'm okay with that. What I can tell you without a doubt in my mind is that as Good Morning Brownsville was presenting information, was talking about the backroom deals, about there was a deal between Carlos Elizondo and Joey Lopez to appoint Martin Sarkis. Once Good Morning Brownsville talked about it, once Good Morning Brownsville presented information, again, we work on receipts, ladies and gentlemen. What did that cause? That caused the board to scramble. What the heck? How the hell does this guy know this stuff? We told you what was said behind closed doors of individuals that were going to be nominated, that were going to be interviewed. Did it happen? Yes. We told you how the faction of Carlos, Minerva, and Frank, they were sold on just two candidates, Farley and Martin Sarkis. So whenever we present information, the political scramble, they go to plan A, plan B, plan C. And this nomination yesterday of a former educator, a former principal, a former HR director, it was conveyed to us. And they said, Frankie, it was going to be plan A with Martin, with Farley. It was going to be plan B with Martin. And then, it didn't fall through for whatever reason. And again, we don't take credit for it. That's the least of our worries. We want things to be done the right way. But they told us about this individual that goes to church with Minerva Peña. And I just, for whatever reason, I was too busy, caught up in other things and other potential nominees. I honestly thought that they weren't going to come to a consensus. And they said, there's this woman that Minerva Peña is friends with. She goes to church with. They're going to nominate her. Why? Because of you. Because they're scrambling. Daniela is scared about her reputation. She doesn't like for individuals to think, oh my goodness, Daniela Lopez made a deal with the devil that is Carlos Elizondo. And when they told us this information, I didn't know a name, but I knew of somebody that went to school with a Minerva Peña. Now, the board, as we've talked about over and over again, has very, very important matters at hand. When we talk about the annual budget, which is coming up tomorrow, we have the taxes. The superintendent is on the chopping block. He's on a year contract. There's a lot of important matters before the board. We talked about not the loan, the bond that BISD will probably go out for a bond within time. So there's a lot of important matters before at stake before the district. And it's important for us to recognize that a 3-3 lock just wasn't going to get this done. What happened yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, again, I was there all day. I literally saw the candidates walk in. 11 candidates. The only one that didn't show was Martin Sarkis. Martin Sarkis got cold feet at the last second. Why? We're not going to take credit for it and say, oh, because of us. No. He just got cold feet because people said, you know what? It's not a good look. Is it going to be the same thing for PUB? If he gets sworn in August, we're going to amp it up even more. And our sources in the underground, in the underworld across the pond, has said, hey, we'll see what happens at PUB. A ver si afloja. What does that mean? Why would they say that? Si afloja, no te damos nada, Frankie. Si no afloja, te damos más información. Okay. Sí, señor. But nonetheless, I think, and again, I was there yesterday. I saw the candidates. I think this was all rigged from the beginning. We had Carlos Elizondo right before the public was excused because they were going to go into executive session and talk about the candidates and interview the candidates. Carlos Elizondo made the nomination, made the request. He made the request to have it done in open session in front of the public. Now, one thing that I do want to state is that Carlos is all about theater. He wants to make it seem as if this is all about transparency because he's a transparent person. Carlos is all about a show. He knew that his board members weren't going to do that. They knew that they already had an agreement. And the funny thing is about Carlos was that he wasn't even present. Before the public, he was present. And then during the interview process, he was gone. Now, I understand people have to work, but this is a monumental event, a very important issue at hand. The shape, the direction of the school district is at stake. And this individual was working. Did he even listen to the candidates? Did he even make any questions? Was he even tuned in? Did he have his camera on? And I say this because he's a nurse. I believe he's a nurse practitioner at DHR. Carlos is all about a show. This was already prearranged before. So all these interviewees, and I feel bad for them. I feel bad for them because they thought that they had a chance. And they didn't. This was already arranged from the get-go. And we want to talk about that a little bit more. One thing that I do want to state is that this individual that was nominated is a 75, 77-year-old woman. And again, before I start, I mean no ill will. Everything that we talk about is with merit. I'm not going to weaponize and target her, but I am going to talk about things that have come up, that have been, it's a question mark. Was this the best qualified individual? Now, again, Ms. Neida Ruth Soto Grantland, she did apply. She did go through the process. She was interviewed. If I'm not mistaken, she was the very first one to be interviewed. I had never seen her before. I'm not familiar with her in detail. I know a little bit about her. She's part of Zonta, former educator. She was named the 2019 South Texas Miss Senior America. She is a graduate of Brownsville High of Class 66. If we talk about her qualifications, because according to Daniela, in that video that we showed, she talked about somebody that was in tune with the community, had experience, and that made her the perfect board member. If we talk about an individual that's 77 years old, and let's say she retired at, what's the going rate right now? 63, 65, depending on who you are. That is when usually people retire, right? So how is an individual, a former HR director, a former principal, how is she in tune with what is going on if she left the district 12 years ago? Don't you think a lot has changed? Don't you think that the lingo, the type of environment, the students, don't you think that all changes? Now, everybody said, well, she's a principal, Frankie. She's going to be great. Let's hope. Somebody said the same thing about Frank Ortiz. And look what happened. Frank Ortiz is docile. He doesn't speak. He does as he's told. What should we expect from her? And she did previously run. She ran for district clerk against Arroyo de la Garza in recent past. But my question to the community is, was this the best choice? Is this someone that is going to be a fighter for the district? Is she going to be vocal? Is she going to do what's in the best interest of the community? And again, if you go to my page, when we posted yesterday, there was nothing but great things to say about her. There were people that said that this is the best choice. Big shoes to fill. She outshines everyone with her knowledge, professionalism. She rises above the rest of the women in BISD. Congratulations, the best choice. What else? She was my teacher in elementary. Nice lady. Perfect pick. She is a solid woman with great morals and integrity. She's an amazing woman. My mom's dear friend. A very nice lady. A Christian woman. A wise choice. The best choice. She'll be great. Very experienced. What has experience taught us at the board? What has somebody taught us that is familiar with the school district? Will she be asking questions? Will she be vocal? Will she be active? Or is she just going to be a pushover like Frank? One thing that I found interesting too was AOBE spoke at the board meeting yesterday. They hadn't spoken in a while, which I find odd. I wasn't sure if they're on vacation, if this matter was important to them. Were they already aware of an understanding that they were going to get a preferred candidate, that they said, Again, what I'm about to say, you may not like, but they're valid arguments, ladies and gentlemen. They're valid arguments. Many individuals have talked about her age. She is a 77-year-old woman. Would she be able to govern, conduct a board meeting? And if you aren't aware, these board meetings, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes they go into the wee hours. You're talking 10, 11, 12, 1 a.m., depending on the subject matter or whatever is at hand at BISD. Is she capable of this? Is she aware of the duties, responsibilities before her? Why am I talking about this? Why are you saying this? Well, because they have been both Republican and Democratic people here locally that have questioned people, that have questioned former President Biden and current President Trump. They said, we want someone younger. These individuals aren't able to perform their duties. Is it a legitimate question for us to, for people to raise issues about age? Is it? I think it's fair. People have said our current President Trump, he's too old. The Republican Party, the Democratic Party needs to go younger. What does that say, ladies and gentlemen? What does that say about the other candidates that applied? What does that say about Ms. Nelda Rocha? On paper, she's qualified. She's an educator. I think she has an understanding of how it works. Now, Nelda Rocha would have sided with Carlos 1,000%, and she would have voted with Carlos 1,000%. But isn't that a slap in the face to her? Someone who is younger, someone who is just recently retired. Is Ms. Grantlin qualified on paper? Yes. Will she be able to perform her duties? Will she be able to withstand the rigors of that of a board member? Maybe. Look what she posted. And again, everything's on merit. I'm not saying things out of my butt to hurt her, to belittle her, by no means. These are just questions that the community has. Maybe she's able to keep a healthy young lifestyle because of she exercises. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying, oh my God, it's wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, hey, this is something that she posted. And maybe she will be able to perform her duties because she's active. She makes sure that what's the right word? That she's flexible. That she focuses on her body. But the question remains, ladies and gentlemen, the question remains, would she be able to perform the duties of a board member? And I also want to talk about the dynamics of the school board moving forward. Someone posted on the page that she looked like a Golden Girl. And it got me thinking, because I remember watching that show. Like, I remember of the show here and there. What are your thoughts, ladies and gentlemen? Again, I know I'm going to be crucified. I'm going to receive a lot of flack for it. But would she be able to stand the rigors of being a board member moving forward? Is she another Minerva Peña? Again, she's friends with Minerva Peña. She goes to church with her. And what deal was made? Because this deal, this arrangement was done by Minerva Peña and Daniela Lopez Valdez. While they want to say that this is unanimous, what deal was made? What was done behind closed doors? And again, that's my job. Was a deal made with Daniela that if she sides with Minerva Peña's candidate, that she'll take the presidency? That she will remain as president? Remember, there is no vice president. So what's going to happen to that position? Who's going to get nominated for it? And I want to take you back, if I may. I want to take you back Geez, what was it? We are 2025, 2018, 2016, and somewhere from 2016 and 2018. It was a time where Minerva Peña was the board president, and everybody freaked out. Why in the world would they make Minerva Peña board president? Why? Why would they do such a thing? Well, guess who was vice president? Sylvia Atkinson, which was a smart move because Minerva Peña was the face. She was the president. But we all know who was the puppet master. We all know who was running the show at BISD at that time. Is this going to be something similar to where Daniela is all about status? Daniela just wants to make it seem like I'm all about the kids. I believe in BISD, even though her kids go to private school. Was this a deal that was arranged by saying, hey, Martin's not going to go through. Farley, the Denise and Jessica aren't going to go through with it. So, how about my candidate, Daniela? And look, if we go through this, you'll stay the president. Is that what was offered? What was agreed upon? Maybe. Who's going to be the vice president? Is it Carlos Elizondo that's going to be the vice president? Is it Minerva Peña? Did Daniela López Valdez give away the majority to Carlos Elizondo? Because the way it looks, the way it feels, that's what happened. Now, the board wants to tell you that this was unanimous, that we worked as a board. Was anyone else considered? Why did nobody else have a nomination? Why was it Daniela right away? Again, she's board president, so she doesn't have to give the floor to anybody if she doesn't want. So Daniela López Valdez took it upon herself and said, I'm going to nominate Soto Grantland. And guess who seconded? Minerva Peña. And it was unanimous. But they weren't even prepared. She wasn't even there in the audience. Frank Ortiz was like, whoa, what could happen? Could she be here Thursday? When could she be sworn in? They weren't prepared. You would think that this monumental event would have them prepare adequately with enough sufficient time to have the 3 days posted. But they didn't. Again, this is a huge event. This isn't just, a nomination. Oh, okay, well, let's go. No, the board is going to decide on a budget of $600 million. 619 or six something, $600 million, the largest budget that BISD has ever had, ever. How do you like them apples? What do you think, community? Again, for the most part, individuals were saying, yes, it's a great choice. But isn't this a slap in the face to all the younger generation, to all the younger applicants? That a 77-year-old woman, and I know I'm going to get flack for it, that a 77-year-old woman that wasn't even present, that hasn't been to board meetings. The only meeting she was at the March meeting, if I'm not mistaken, and yesterday's for the interview. You don't believe me? What does that say to all the younger people that applied? And more than anything, look, John Shergold applied. And John Shergold, he didn't even get an interview. Now, to my understanding, I think he withdrew his name. But John Shergold, the one who seeks justice for people, the one who works for an outcome of peace, of tranquility for people who have been wronged? You mean to tell me that he's not qualified? Did they steal our seat? Did they place an individual that wasn't going to make waves, that is going to be docile, that doesn't have the energy? Maybe that's something that they wanted, because again, we talked about from the very beginning, they don't want an election. They want somebody they can control, somebody they can manipulate. Why? Because of the almighty feria. Oh, and guess what? I need to let you in a little secret. Let me see what somebody said. No, it's the right LinkedIn. She created it. It's the right LinkedIn. People create more than once. Anyways, is this the right person? Oh yeah, let me let you in on a little secret. Minerva and Frank are upset at Frankie Olivo. They want the district attorney's office to investigate Frankie Olivo, because Frankie Olivo has been saying a lot of stuff. But my question to Minerva and Frank is the district attorney's office going to investigate the Brownsville Herald? They leaked Fardy Trevino's name. Is the district attorney's office going to investigate Juan Montoya, who released Martin Sarkis' name? Or is the district attorney's office going to investigate Minerva Peña because she negotiated with a vendor? Is that a crime for a board member to discuss logistics, numbers, prices, even though people are saying, oh, she's saving us money because it costs $0? She still had discussions. She still negotiated. Prices were discussed. And also, at the very end, Denise and Jessica Gonzalez stated that, oh, Erasmo Castro, I think it was Jessica, she said, oh, Erasmo Castro would be laughing right now and he'd be proud of this election. No, he wouldn't. He'd be livid. How are you going to appoint someone that's going to side with Carlos? How are you going to appoint someone that is not going to make waves? I found great offense to that. Oh, this was done with Erasmo Castro in mind. If it was done with Erasmo Castro in mind, you should have done an election. Because Erasmo Castro probably saw all those candidates on the list and was like, with the only one being John Shergold, maybe Roman Perez. Erasmo Castro would be livid. Everyone knows the type of person he was. He was all about community. He was all about being vocal. He was all about being a fighter for the people. Is Ms. Grantland going to do that? I hope so. I don't have high expectations, though. Moving forward, what can we expect? What can we expect moving forward, ladies and gentlemen? Is the Golden Girl going to be what's going to take the district to the top? Or is this just another person that's going to be docile? and just do as she's told. And now the issue of the attorney, the board attorney, is on the agenda. It was placed yesterday, the agenda, because at the last meeting, what was it, June 14th, mid-June, it was a 3-3 lock. And the board attorney, O'Hanlon, their contract ends June 2025. By the board reaching a 3-3 lock, their contract wasn't renewed. So yesterday's agenda, they included, which we're going to look into that and talk about it in detail, possibly tomorrow or Friday, depending on other things that we're working on. But there was a renegotiation to have Eric Flores to be the representative for O'Hanlon to continue the services at BISD at a cheaper rate. I think they said somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000. Is that the arrangement that was made between Minerva Peña and Daniela Lopez Valdez? Because we all know that Daniela Lopez Valdez and the girls, they love Eric, the attorney. Miguel Salinas was freaking out. Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean I'm going to work double? What do you mean? Whoa, 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 whoa. No. I can't. Yesterday, Miguel Salinas was all happy. I don't have to do double work. So Ms. Grantlin, she's going to vote on the attorney. And guess what she's going to do? She's going to grant it. We know the three girls want Eric. Frank, Carlos, and Minerva said no. Is Minerva now with this appointment nomination of her friend that goes to church with her? Is this going to be another Minerva Peña on the board? There's a lot of issues and a lot of moving parts that happen behind the scenes. A lot of moving parts that we don't see. And that is the beauty of this program. We tell you what goes on behind closed doors. We tell you of the backroom deals that they don't want you to know. That is my job. Some people may not like it. Others do. Why? Because you're a taxpayer. You have skin in the game. How do you feel, City of Brownsville? Do you think this was the best choice to have a 77-year-old woman who's experienced? On paper, she has all the qualifications needed. But is she ready for the rigors? Is she ready for graduation? Is she ready to stay there for hours on end? And also, the things that you don't see behind closed doors is the shuffling, the hiring and firing. There's a lot that goes on behind closed doors. Because the important stuff is the budget. I would say maybe 5 to 10% of being a BISD board member is serious stuff. Don't get me wrong. The seat encompasses a lot of important stuff, but the big stuff, it's only like 5 to 10%. The other stuff is hiring and firing. There's a lot that goes on behind closed doors. And I will try my best to keep you up to date with everything that's going on. I think people are spooked now because of what we've been saying and what we've been covering. But we're going to continue to be there. We're going to continue to be vocal. We're going to continue to let you, the voter, you, the community, know of what is going on. How does the community feel about this, ladies and gentlemen? Does this individual, is she the best qualified compared to other individuals? Will she be able to come through? Is she going to be impartial? That's the most important word. Is she going to be able to vote independently? Because again, that's Minerva Peña's friend at church. Only time will tell, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, my job isn't to bully people. My job isn't to harass, humiliate people. By no means. These are legitimate questions that the community has. Whenever the school board says that the best qualified individual was a 77-year-old woman who won the 2019 South Texas Senior American Pageant, makes us question if this was the best candidate compared to those other applicants. Maybe she wasn't the best qualified. Maybe they just greased the wheels and made their move. Have you ever thought about that? It's going to be interesting moving forward, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because again, people are going to say that, oh, there were haters. And again, this was a difficult decision. No matter who was selected, people were going to like it. People weren't going to like it. Our expectation was that it was going to be someone independent, someone that was going to be able to work with everyone across the board. But now we feel as if Daniela Lopez Valdez just gave away the majority. And guess what they're going to do to the girls? To Jessica Gonzalez and Denise Garza. If you're watching, if you're listening, I know you are. Be prepared. They're going to go at you hard. Y'all try to censor Minerva Peña. They're going to censor you. They're going to go hard after you. You don't believe me, huh? You thought that by doing this deal with Daniela Lopez Valdez was going to be what was in the best interest of the community. I heard that Penguin, Carlitos, Sylvia Garza Perez go to the same church. I don't know. Maybe you could find out. Maybe I will find out. So, to Miss Jessica Gonzalez, Denise Garza, they're coming after you. You don't know what it's like to be in the minority. You've never been in the minority. But they're coming. And it won't be pretty. We tried to convey the message to nominate, to elect someone, to appoint someone, independent. What y'all did, y'all gave Carlos the vote that he needed. What's going to happen moving forward? I don't know. The attorney's going to stay. The superintendent, the one that you fought so hard to keep, he's going to get fired. He knows it. Rita Hernandez and Rose Edith Longoria, they're going to duke it out because they will be the first two in consideration. If it's not one, it's the other. And it's going to happen. Will Carlos be named president? I don't know. If he was smart, he'd be the vice president and do a Sylvia thing. Have Daniela be the face because Daniela's all about status. Daniela thinks that that's important to her. Will Carlos be the vice president and be the puppet master? Maybe. Or is he going to throw Daniela Lopez under the bus when they promised her that she's going to continue to be the president? So, to the girls, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, you made a big mistake. Get ready to rumble because they're going to come after you hard. You've never been in the minority. and it's going to happen. But hey, what do I know, right? I'm just a simple podcaster. Ladies and gentlemen, the district. All eyes will be on the district moving forward. Is this the best choice? Is this the person that the BISD board, the community, the citizens of Brownsville needed moving forward? I don't know. I don't know. Only time, ladies and gentlemen, only time will tell if a 77-year-old woman is what Brownsville needed in this crucial time. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Frank Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Hope you have a great Wednesday. Subscribe to YouTube under Frank Olivo TV if you haven't already. My name is Frank Olivo, and this is Good Morning Brownsville. Peace!